All right, today we are gonna crack open the legal code behind creativity in India. We're gonna follow the entire journey of a creative work, from that very first spark of an idea all the way to defending it out in the real world. So for every single creator out there, this is your guide. Okay, let's get into it.
So, imagine this. You've just poured your heart and soul into the next great Indian novel. It's done. But what if someone else publishes it under their name? Or what if a studio just straight up steals your film script? That's exactly where copyright comes in. See, the moment your creation exists, this powerful legal shield just clicks into place. And honestly, knowing how it works is your best defense and your most powerful tool.
Okay, so before we can even start talking about who owns a piece of creative work, we've got to get right to the heart of it. What part of your work does the law actually protect? Let's start with the absolute foundation.
Now, here's probably the single most important line that copyright law draws in the sand. It's called the idea-expression dichotomy. And, think of it like this. The idea of a superhero who can fly, that's free for anyone to use. But the specific story of Superman, with his unique origin, his job at the Daily Planet, his whole deal with Lois Lane, that is the protected expression. The law rewards the actual hard work of building something real, not just the fleeting thought. Now, I know a 19th century case might seem, ancient, but it has huge implications for today's app developers, seriously. So this guy, Selden, creates a groundbreaking bookkeeping system and writes a book about it. The book? Totally copyrighted, no doubt. But then someone else starts selling ledgers that used his system, and the court said, yeah, that's fine. Why? Well, you can't copyright the idea of a ride-sharing app, but you absolutely can, and you have to, protect the specific code you write to make it work.
So your expression is protected, but it also has to be original. Now in India, that doesn't mean it has to be some work of pure genius. Imagine you spend months just compiling a phone book. Under the old sweat of the brow rule, your sheer effort might have been enough to get you a copyright. But the Indian Supreme Court basically said, nope, not enough. You need to apply skill and judgment. It's not about how hard you worked. It's about the creative choices you made to organize that phone book in a unique, thoughtful way.
You've taken an original idea, sparked it into life, given it a real form. That's fantastic. But now we're at the next crucial step in this journey. Who actually gets to hold the keys to your creation? And, the answer might surprise you.
So here's the bottom line. Being the author is not the same as being the owner. Your authorship, that's permanent. You will always be the person who wrote that song or coded that app. But ownership, the power to actually make money from it, that can be transferred. This difference is absolutely critical when you're negotiating a contract. You might always be the author of your work, but if you're not careful, you could sign away your ownership and, all the money that comes with it.
And this is where it gets real for most creators. If you're a salaried employee, say a writer at a magazine, a programmer at a tech firm, there's a really good chance that whatever you create as part of your job automatically belongs to your employer. Same thing goes if a client commissions you to take a photograph or paint a portrait. This is why it is so incredibly important to read your employment and freelance contracts, really read them. Know who owns what before you even start creating.
Okay, let's move on. Let's assume you've navigated all the contracts and you are the owner of your work. So what does that actually mean? What's in your toolkit? Let's take a look at the powers you now have.
Let's say you've written a hit song. This bundle of rights is your key to the bank. You have the sole power to sell copies of the recording, to license it to a Bollywood movie, to approve a translation into another language, and to perform it on tour. Every single one of these is a separate, valuable right that you can control, sell, or license to other people. This is the engine of your creative business.
But copyright is about so much more than just money. It also protects your artistic integrity. These are called your moral rights. Imagine you've painted a beautiful mural, and even after you've sold the rights to it, someone comes along and just defaces it or changes it in a way that totally harms your reputation. Even if you're not the economic owner anymore, you still have the moral right to protect your work and your name from being dishonored. And this just perfectly shows the two sides of the coin, doesn't it? Think of it this way. Economic rights are about your wallet. Moral rights, they're about your soul as a creator. One can be sold, but the other is priceless and it stays with you forever.
Now, this whole journey isn't just about locking your work away in a vault. Copyright law actually has two purposes: to protect creators, for sure, but also to promote creativity for everyone else. And that's why the law builds in some really important exceptions that let the public interact with copyrighted works. In India, this balanced approach is called fair dealing. It's basically a set of rules that lets you use a small piece of someone else's work for very specific reasons, like commentary or news reporting or research, without having to ask permission or worry about getting into legal trouble. So how do you know if what you're doing is fair dealing? Well, the law gives us a pretty clear checklist. If you're using a clip from a film for a critical review or a quote from a book for your academic research, you're probably in the clear. But, and this is super important, if your purpose isn't on this specific list, you can't claim fair dealing in India. Simple as that. To give you some context, let's say you want to create a parody of a famous Bollywood song for YouTube. In the US, under their flexible, fair use rules, you could probably argue your parody is a legitimate new work. But in India, since parody isn't on that fair dealing checklist we just saw, you could be facing a much tougher legal fight. The Indian system is more rigid, for sure, but it also gives creators a lot more certainty. So you know your rights and you know the public's rights. But what happens when someone just ignores the rules and violates them? Let's talk about the final stage of our journey: how to protect your work when it's under attack. If someone uses your work without your permission, they copy it, they sell it, they adapt it, and it's not a case of fair dealing, that's copyright infringement. Plain and simple. It's a violation of your exclusive rights as the owner. The good news is the law gives you a powerful arsenal to fight back. Through a civil lawsuit, you can get an injunction. That's a court order that forces the infringer to stop immediately. You can also sue for damages to get compensated for your financial losses. And for more serious, deliberate piracy, there are even criminal penalties. You can even work with customs to stop physical pirate copies from ever entering the country in the first place. And let's be clear, the law has serious teeth. While jail time is usually for the most serious commercial-scale cases, even a civil lawsuit can be incredibly expensive for an infringer. The bottom line for everyone is this: copyright infringement is not something to take lightly. So we've traced the whole path from a simple idea all the way to a fully protected work, but this journey is far from over. I mean, when an AI can write a script or compose a symphony, who's the author? When that same AI learns by analyzing millions of copyrighted images, is that fair dealing? As technology keeps racing forward, the laws that govern creativity will have to adapt. The real question is, will they be able to keep up?